Hey guys, welcome back to the New Nine Golf Channel. I'm your host, Brandon Cubitt, and today's interview we're going to dive into a player who's trying to make it onto the PGA Tour. I'm really interested on, what are the steps it takes to get to the PGA Tour? What are the ranks that you have to play in, and how good do you have to shoot in order to get even a chance at playing on the PGA Tour? So this guest that we have coming on is through a connection of one of my golf buddies. So the course that I play at Country Hills in Calgary, we host a Canadian Tour event. That tour event is the ATB Financial golf tournament, and it's something that I look forward to every year. Unfortunately, with COVID, it wasn't able to happen, but these guys come to our course where some of our best players shoot, on a good day in kind of the high 60s. These guys come in and shoot 62, 63 for 4 days in a row. Like, it's really amazing golf to watch, and these guys are just on the Canadian Tour. So today we're talking to a guy who's making his way on the Canadian Tour, onto the Corn Ferry Tour, and just played in his first PGA Tour event a couple weeks ago. So we're going to talk to him to see what life is about with him. Before we dive into that interview, I have some pretty big news from a personal golf standpoint, is that I had my very first albatross. Something that we definitely wasn't expecting. Of course, you try to have good shots on par fives all the time, but it was my first one, so I'm able to cross it off the bucket list, and I got my first hole in one, and now an albatross. It was a par five, playing about 560, and big downwind. Crushed a drive, and I had 164 in, hit it what I thought was pretty tight. Couldn't see it go in, which was kind of a bummer. So my hole in one I saw go in the whole way. So the anticipation from getting from the tee box to the hole, your heart is just racing nonstop. But this albatross kind of wasn't really like that until we got up to the hole. We're like, oh my God, it's in the hole. So personal golf, big check mark, cross off an albatross. That was a lot of fun. For those wondering, it was 164. I was downwind. I hit a pitching wedge. So I hit driver pitching wedge on a par five. I was really hoping I would get an albatross with like a 4-iron or a 3-wood. I'm jealous of those guys that have that, but we'll keep trying. So on a personal side note, we had our first ever albatross. So that was a lot of fun. I was happy to share that with you guys. What we're going to do is talk to our guest today, whose name is Jake Shuman. Take a look for him, because hopefully he'll be a full-time tour member. We'll head over there, and I hope you guys enjoy this interview. Hey, Jake.
Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing well.
Thanks for taking some time to do this with me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. So you're in Calgary?
I'm in Calgary. That's correct. Yep. Whereabouts are you?
So I am in Philadelphia right now.
Okay. So our connection is Mark. So he was telling me that you stayed at his house when he came to play the ATB.
I did. So that was 2 years ago now. It was 2 years ago now. Yeah, 2 years ago now. I played the full season in Canada and tried staying with host families as much as we could, save money, and also you get to meet great people. And so Mark and Janelle and Brandon and Aaron were by far my favorites, and just the greatest host that we could have had. I usually travel with my buddy Will Register.
Yeah.
And we stayed with all great people, but Mark and Janelle are probably the only two that we really stay in touch with still.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to coming back to Calgary at some point, but it certainly doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon with everything going on.
Well, I got a funny story about Mark. I don't know if he's told you yet. He's probably going to kill me when he sees this on the podcast. He was just playing it around with a couple buddies of mine, and I guess things got heated. Some money was exchanged, and I think he broke 3 clubs out of his bag.
Oh, man, I don't know if I believe it or not, but I'm going to have to call him and ask him about it.
Yeah, the rumor is it was his driver, his 3-wood, and his putter. So I don't know if it all happened at once. I wasn't there, but I'm hearing secondhand info that
I'm curious what happened. And those are 3 expensive clubs to break too.
Yeah, I think he would have lost more money in clubs replacing than on the golf course.
We'll have to investigate and see what he says though.
Yeah, so I saw that you just completed, was it your first PGA Tour event that you played in the Wyndham Championship? Tell me about that experience.
Yeah, so it was awesome. So I've played probably, 15 to 20 Monday qualifiers now for either Corn Ferry or PGA Tour. And I've gotten my first year out. I was never really close to getting into any events. It's a whole learning experience. Monday qualifiers are so different than any round of golf really, because if you're not 7 under or better, you really, you can get in your car and head home or head to the airport. And first year, it really took me a long time to get adjusted to standing on the first tee saying, okay, I got to be under par through the first 4 or 5 holes or else, I'm going home. And I've played really well this year in Mondays, and that was a stretch where I had 66 4 Mondays in a row.
Wow.
But that was the only one I got into.
Come on.
But so it was at a golf course. So I went to Duke. So this, where the Monday qualifier was about an hour 15 from Durham, North Carolina, where I spent 4 years, and I was comfortable on the golf course. I love North Carolina golf, kind of pine straw, pine tree, awesome, fast Bermuda greens. And, I played great. I really didn't think that 66 had a chance because I was the second group out, and it's as easy as the golf course was going to play. But I shot 66. I was kind of what I was saying. Like, I was 1 over through 3 holes, and I'm like, no, there goes that, and I'll move on to whatever's next. But I got hot in the middle of the round and shot 66 and decided to go get lunch. And I said, after lunch, if I'm still in the mix, I'll go back to the golf course, and kept hanging on. And, it worked out that it wasn't even a playoff, which is bizarre. Typically it's lower than that you need. And I got very lucky, and it was cool that the other guy who qualified was actually a Duke golfer as well.
Oh, no way.
So I've known him for 6-7 years. So it was cool for both of us. It was both of our first times playing in a tour event.
That's awesome. So what happens after you Monday qualify? Now you're given the go ahead that, you're on your way to a PGA Tour event. What happens?
Yeah. And so I think right now is a little different than normal because I wanted to go straight to the golf course. I've played, it was at Sedgefield in Greensboro, and I played there before, but it had been a few years, and I really wanted to go just check it out. And almost all my kind of la land, like, I'm so happy to be here. I wanted to get that out of the way Monday night, so that way by Tuesday morning I could kind of just go about it as a normal golf tournament. But with COVID now, they said I can't step foot on property until I go get tested.
Oh, okay.
So I had to go get tested. On my way to get tested, I had a million questions to ask. I don't know, it's not like they're not going to hold your hand through it.
Right.
On junior golf. So they just said, you got to get tested. So I have to find a caddy. My caddy has to get tested. At that point, I have to figure out a hotel for the week, all that. And so I ended up calling my assistant coach from Duke, actually played professionally for 17 years. I think he played on tour for 7, and then kind of Hooters, Nike, Hogan, Webb, all that for about 10 years. And he's caddied for me before, and he was happy to do it. So, but before both of us could step foot on property, we both have to test negative. And my results came back right away, but his results actually got tested Tuesday morning, and his results took like 4 hours. So waited around Tuesday morning. I couldn't sleep much Monday night. I was up early. I didn't sleep really probably more than 4 or 5 hours. I was, and not out of nerves, but I was just excited. And so I got there early, hit balls. It was nice that the Wyndham was following the PGA. So They were on West Coast time. And so I knew all these guys would be getting out there middle of the day, late of the day, not 8 a.m. So I got there early, got the lay of the land, and kind of just had to wait around for Bob to get there. And you never know how long the testing is going to take. And it was all a learning experience for us. But I ended up getting there, and Adam Long's a Duke guy. And so we said that I texted him the night before, and he was happy to play a practice round. So we got set up, played some holes with Adam that day, and kind of from there, I mean, it was kind of a surreal experience. You're on the same putting green with these guys that you're looking at on TV. And it took me a little while to realize it's just golf. Same golf course, the ball's still the same size, the hole's still the same size. But really cool being around, Brooks was there, Justin Rose, Sergio, Patrick Reed, not everybody was there that, the top of the line guys, just because it was the week before the playoffs started. But it was a really great experience the first couple of days before actually playing.
When you're playing a practice round, are you going out playing a normal round of golf, or are you taking 5 or 6 balls out of bunkers? Like, what's the
Yeah.
process when you're playing a practice
Yeah.
round?
So I like to kind of hit every tee shot, hit every second shot, and then on holes where I'm uncomfortable with a certain tee shot, so certain dogleg rights maybe aren't great for me. So um, I'll sit there until I've hit one or two of them, and I know, okay, I've hit the shot and I've hit it in the fairway. Or around the greens, the PGA Tour I think does a pretty consistent job over the years of picking similar spots for all 4 days of the event. So especially playing with Adam, who played there last year, his caddy would right away got to the greens and knew from his yardage book from the year before, this is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
And so then we're putting to where the holes will be in general direction, maybe not to the tee, but within a 5x5 circle maybe. So a lot of putts, chipping and putting, but they do speed up the greens and get them a little bit firmer, Monday to Thursday. So it's a little different, but you get a general feel. But certainly not keeping score, just hitting shots, trying to get comfortable. And it's more low key than come Thursday morning.
So I'm sure you're hoping for 4 rounds of golf, but you got 2 in. So you got 2 rounds PGA Tour under your belt. Who were you paired with the first 2 days?
Yeah, so I was paired with Tom Lewis and Chris Baker.
Okay.
We're both awesome guys, really good to me. Chris Baker is PGA Tour rookie. He's been grinding for 12, 13 years. I want to say he's mid-30s. This is his first year out there. And then Tom Lewis, who is from England, he's actually 50th, 51st in the world right now. So he was coming off a good stretch. I think he finished second at the WGC in Memphis. But both good guys, and we're kind of a pleasure to play with. I know it could have been 2 guys who didn't care about me whatsoever and wouldn't have given me a second, but they were both good to me and had some good conversations out there.
What's the vibe like when you're walking around the practice green? Are guys couple double taking you? Like, who is this guy? Or they're so in the zone that they could not care?
Yeah, yes and no. I don't think they care. I think it's like any level of golf. You kind of have your circle of people. So, if you go to a Mackenzie Tour event, when I traveled up there, like 5 or 6 guys I was good friends with. And other people, but you're not going to stop and talk to them. You have your few guys you're buddies with, and that's kind of it. So I think at that level at the PGA Tour, nobody's trying to be buddy. Right. I'm sure everybody has a couple friends, but a lot of those guys travel with spouses, kids, whatever. So when they're at the golf course, it's work, and then when they leave, it's hang out with the family.
Did you make your way into any PGA Tour equipment vans? Do you have any equipment deals that you're working with?
So I've been a Titleist guy my whole life. I'm from Massachusetts, so I'm loyal to the local company. But they've been great to me, and I didn't need anything. I've been playing really well, so I didn't want to change anything. But I also didn't want to say, hey, I don't know the next time the opportunity for a tour van is going to be. So I got a new driver head, and I got a putter on the way.
What kind of putter did you get?
So I got a Scotty, the Flowback.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I needed one. I putted great this summer. I told the rep, Drew, that I love the look of a blade, but the flow of a mallet. And so he said, okay, so this is the best look for you. And so he said he'll send one. So I'm excited for that to come in.
So cool. Did you have a Circle T before that you were using?
I had one.
Okay.
I got one in college, and it's no longer in the bag. It's been in timeout for a few years.
Yeah.
But I do have a blade Newport 2 that's been great the last kind of 2.5 years that I'm probably not changing anytime soon because the ball seems to be finding the bottom of the cup.
That's so cool. I'm a huge Scotty guy. So I envision if I ever make like a celebrity tour, if I can sneak my way into a Titleist van, I'm going right for the bag of putters.
Yeah. I didn't want to step on any toes, but I also was like, this bag right here with all these putters is pretty damn cool. So I'm going to kind of weasel my way in there if I can.
That's so cool. Right now, as we're speaking, the U.S. Open just started. Have you played in U.S. Open qualifiers? Have you tried to get into that tournament before?
Yeah, so I've tried a couple times. throughout high school, I remember that it never worked because it was my last 2 years of high school. It was during our AP exams, which is kind of a little bit of like a nerd thing for me to say. But I just remember that I was always upset and like I was like asking my teachers, can we move it? And it's like the standardized. This is the day, and so I didn't really do it in high school, but in college we did it a couple times, and we were fortunate to Duke University Golf Club hosted the local qualifier a few times. So I played it, never got through on our home course, but I missed it. I remember it's got to be 2016 or 17 maybe. I missed it by a shot, and the guy who beat me to get through was Andrew Landry.
Oh yeah,
who's now on tour, and that was his kind of coming out party. Was I believe it was Oakmont. So whenever DJ wanted Oakmont, Landry was at the local qualifier. I played with him. He got me by a shot. He got the last spot, and then all of a sudden, I think he's a 2-time winner on tour now.
crazy. It's amazing that all you guys are so good. Like I've watched you guys when you play our home course at Country Hills, and for a good golfer at our course to shoot 1, 2, maybe 3 under, that's a good round. You guys destroy it. It's like 62, 63, 64. Like it's disgusting how good you guys are, that it's one shot, one day of the week that you guys are all right there. It's really kind of gross how close golf can be.
There are far too many good players, and it make golf, I think professional golf compared to maybe 20 years ago, I'm sure it's always been incredibly competitive and hard to kind of get to the top level. But I would imagine now there's even more talent than there ever has been. And I mean, just going to a Monday qualifier, and there are so many guys who can play on the PGA Tour, and they are all in the same boat where they don't shoot 64 or 63 that Monday. They have nothing to do for the next 6 days. And
Right.
But it is what it is, and all you need is 1 or 2 good weeks, and then you can be set.
Totally. Do you got any buddies playing in the Open this weekend?
A lot of guys I've played golf with and played college golf with. So we played with like Victor Hovland, Matt Wolf, Brandon Wu was I think a year younger than me at Stanford. But who else is out there? Adam Long is probably the only guy that I talked to here and there that's playing.
Cool.
So we'll see what happens out there. It looks. I watched a couple hours this morning. It looks nasty.
It does look gross. Yeah, it's entertaining for sure. I think anytime they're predicting an over par score, it's I'd rather watch that than guys shooting 20 under.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a little bit more relatable to the everyday golfer.
Yeah. So what are you doing right now? Because as far as I know, there's no schedule for Mackenzie Tour or Corn Ferry. What's happening?
Yeah. So I'm just playing Monday qualifiers. So I was supposed to play the Latin America season this year, and that obviously is put on hold right now. And they're saying we might get back to maybe the Dominican and some parts of Florida in December. But I think that's all an ever-changing situation. It's very fluid. So I'm just playing Mondays for now. I'm going to Wichita, Kansas to play the Corn Ferry Monday this coming week. And then from there, I'm going to go to Savannah, Georgia. And from there, I'm actually going to go to Vegas and try to do the Monday for the Shriners.
That's awesome. Well, I wish you the best of luck in all those.
Appreciate it.
Those Mondays. Talking about the Latin American Tour, the event you played previously to the Wyndham was in Mazatlan, Mexico.
Yeah.
Do you remember playing that event?
Yeah. It was a little bit of an odd time where kind of everything COVID was just starting to kind of pique the public's interest. And the course itself in Mexico was very cool. It was hard to believe that that's kind of a work trip when you're on a resort in Mexico. You're on the beach, and it's hard to take it very seriously and not have a beer maybe, but it was great. Golf course was fun, and I went with a couple buddies actually. So we had a good time about it. And I just remember, I don't know if it was Wednesday or Thursday morning, waking up to a news article that the headline was Trump is thinking about closing the border to Mexico.
Right.
I'm thinking we got to I don't know if I need to miss the cut and get out of here on Friday night or what, because I'm just thinking to myself, what happens if the border closes while we're there?
So what happened? Did you go right home?
We actually stayed through the week, and he didn't close the border or anything at the time, but all went well. I actually missed the cut, played well the first day, shot 66, and then was in a good spot and shot even the second day, and somehow 6 under didn't get through the cut. So talking about how good players are.
It's crazy. What's really ironic is I was actually in town in Mazatlan that week. So I played Estrella Del Mar on the Monday after the tournament had wrapped up.
Really?
Yeah, because I think the winner shot like a 10. He was like 62 on the Sunday. Yeah, so it was cool. I had never played a course set up for a pro event, and it was really cool to be there and to, test your own skill at a track that I'm a plus golfer. So I was, I think, even, and to know that these guys are shooting 10 under just blew my mind. I'm like, I have zero chance of ever making money playing golf because you guys are just so sick.
Yeah, it's the scores were stupid. I mean, I that's probably the lowest cut I've ever seen. Where, I mean, to think if you went and shot 269s, going home. Yeah. So speaks to the level of professional golf again.
No kidding. What's the best day you think you've ever had on the golf course?
Best day for full experience of just everything that's happened?
Sure.
I would say I went and took a class in London in between my 3rd and 4th years of college. And I went to the London School of Economics there and took a class. And we had a teammate who was from London. So he set us up to play some golf. And we went out and played Sunningdale, which is awesome golf course over there. It's my first time over there playing golf. And it's parkland, but a little bit of links to it. It's not Scotland, but it's different. And in the morning, he actually had a bail. So he set me up with some member he knew. I didn't know anything about him. Turns out the guy is in his mid-80s. And I'm thinking, I don't want to play with a guy who's going to go shoot 100. And, we both walked, played the morning. He shot right around his age.
Nice.
Carrying his own golf bag. And we played for 3 hours. He said, "You want a pint?" And I was like, sure. We went out at 8 o'clock. We were done by 11. We were having a beer at 11:15. And he said, "What are you doing the rest of the day?" I was like, "I don't know, just going back into the city and, go from there." And he said, "Do you want to play the other golf course?" So there's 36 holes at Sunningdale. There's the old and the new, and they're both incredible golf courses. And I thought he was just going to send me out on his own. I didn't think this 80-something-year-old was ready to carry his bag for another 18. And we went off, the two of us, played another 18, another 3 hours, and then had another beer at the end. And it was 36 holes of incredible golf with 2 beers, walking, all in 8 hours.
Wow.
And that was an experience I'll never forget, really.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what the worst day you ever had on the golf course was?
There are really no worse days. I mean, a day at the golf course is better than a day pretty much anywhere else, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you get that a lot. And
yeah,
it's true. I mean, playing crappy golf is not fun, but at the end of the day, when you're outside and spending time out there, it's still better. But probably the worst day, I still remember this to a T, is I was 10 years old and I was playing in the U.S. Kids World Golf Championship. So when you hear the words like World Golf Championship, you think it's like the Masters when you're 10 years old. And so this was my first time ever traveling out of state for a golf tournament. And I thought it was the world's biggest deal. It was Pinehurst. It was really cool. And kid I'm playing with asked me to move my ball marker because it was in his line. And I'm 10 years old. First time really playing a golf tournament. I forget to move it back. And this kid and his dad are standing right over it. And the second I hit that putt, they're like, "That's a 2-stroke penalty. You didn't move it back." And I'm 10 years old, so I don't know how to handle my emotions. I'm so upset. I'm crying. I'm pissed off. My dad was caddying for me. It's kind of the first experience for him as well. And it ruined that experience for me that week, but I'll remember it. I have never forgotten to move a ball mark back since.
Yeah.
So that might be, my first real golf tournament experience was kind of, I don't know, a little bit ruined with that, but now I won't forget it. I know the rules of golf. but that might be the worst golf experience, but there aren't too many to choose from.
Hey, that's the definition of a new 9, is that you learned your lesson, and screw that kid and that dad. Like, who do they think they are? Like, come on, if you know this 10-year-old didn't move his ball marker back, just tell him, man, that's brutal.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you had any new 9s in pro events? Have you had any, like 40, 30s or something crazy?
Yeah, I think kind of as I've matured as a golfer, just the understanding how one shot can make or break it. So, missing the cut by a shot, or there have been a handful of events where I've lost by a shot. And that 4-footer, maybe on Thursday afternoon, where you're kind of maybe tired and just want to get in, that you don't quite take your time over, you end up missing it. And then that one shot makes the difference of either covering your costs and expenses for the week or not. That's an experience and learning curve that you learn fairly quickly. But I think the biggest new 9 for me on the golf course is Q school. You can't simulate Q school until you've played it, where it is it is life or death. It's not life or death, but it's do or die, right? Where you either get through or you don't. And the first year, my first fall playing, it was an incredible experience where getting through first stage was this unbelievable joy. And then you're like, well, it doesn't matter that I just played great. Now I have to go play against better players on a harder golf course for the same exact reason. And the first year I missed it by a shot getting through to final stage, which would have given me at least status. And I would have gotten a final stage, which would have probably changed, hopefully, trajectory of where I am now, maybe a little bit. But that one shot, you realize over the course of 4 days can be anywhere. And to just try to be level-headed, don't be emotional, and just try your best and try to commit to every shot as much as you can.
I think a lot of guys will say that, the best golf they play is after a couple beers and some music going, and you're just firing at pins because you don't care if you miss, right? Yeah. Are you able to simulate something like that in professional rounds when you're playing for, status or money?
Yes and no. I think that I've learned where not being in your head too much about the money side of things, which is a lot easier said than done, right? I mean, when you're playing for $100 versus $100,000, that still is going to make a difference until you're really on the PGA Tour. And understanding that you have to try to put that aside and just remember it's the same game that you and I grew up with when we were 5 years old versus when we were 25. Right. Ball doesn't know the difference with who you are or what the situation is. It's still golf. So I think you can try, and I've gotten better at it, and I think I'm learning how to kind of just play golf and not worry about everything outside of that. But it's a learning experience for sure.
You briefly mentioned some costs associated with trying to play full time, right? Golf's not an inexpensive sport. I'm interested if you're willing to get into it. How do you fund your journey and playing these qualifiers and travel and caddy? And I imagine it adds up, right?
Yeah, it's. I remember the first conversation I had with Julian Surrey, who's a Euro Tour guy, went to Duke. He's had a lot of success. Won a couple times over there, but just asking him was like, hey, what are you spending every year? Like, how much money do I need to raise to try to do this? And I thought maybe he was going to say like 30, 40 grand a year, which is still a ton of money. And he was saying, so at his level on the European Tour, he's spending between like $200,000 and $300,000 a year.
Wow.
That's going to and from Europe. And that's having a caddy every week. That's playing 25 weeks of the year. So that's a little different. I think on like the developmental tour, mini tour kind of life, it's far less. I think guys in kind of my situation can spend anywhere between 50 and 75,000 a year. Depends how you are with your money. Like if you're going to Chipotle every night, you're spending $7, $8, $9. If you're going to Longhorn Steakhouse, shouldn't be spending $35 on a steak. Basically, is what I'm getting at.
Right.
I was fortunate where I had 2 companies help me out right away, where I signed some I had 2-year sponsorship agreements with them. And that got me started. That probably raised about 50% of the money I needed. And the rest was a couple family friends willing to help me out. And so now I've made enough where the last 12, 16 months I've been able to support myself. I hope that continues. Playing in Monday qualifiers definitely drains the bank a little bit quicker than playing mini tour events, just because you're spending $800-900 just on a 1-day event between travel, entry fee, practice round, things like that. But
does it feel a little criminal that they're charging that much to you guys to play one event?
Yeah. Yes, it's way too much money. They can charge whatever they want. People are going to play if it's $700 or if it's $50. It's the only way to get there. But I think that the practice rounds being $75 to $100 is a little criminal. Last Sunday in Chicago, practice round was $70 plus cart plus range balls. And I'm like,
plus balls, come on.
Plus balls. Like, at least give me 20 balls. I'm just trying to see the golf course. I'm not trying to grind on your range and beat it up all day.
Yeah. Oh, that's brutal. That's do you ever feel like a professional gambler trying to make these events?
I think that's what this is to a degree. I think you're gambling on yourself. Mini tour golf, all it is an organized money game.
Right.
Just with really high stakes.
Yeah.
Because you're not playing for anything besides money versus like when you're on the Mackenzie Tour, you're playing for Corn Ferry spots or whatnot. But it's a good way of looking at it is gambling.
No kidding. Have you had a new nine in life, maybe not golf related? Have you had any personal stuff go down that you've been able to, prevail from?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really fortunate to have had a fairly, I'd say adverse-free life to this point. And I knock on wood there, but I'd say one thing is when I was 16, I went to a golf school in Florida to spend a winter there and get out of the snow in Boston. And about 6 weeks in, my parents were lucky enough to be able to send me to this place, spend a fortune. And 6 weeks in, I break my wrist.
Oh.
And I remember on the way to the hospital, like I knew the second I broke it, I was messing around on a tennis court. And I knew the second I fell, I broke it, dislocated it. It was no doubt I broke it, right? And I refused to call my parents. And the lady who drove me to the hospital was like, you have to call her. You have to call your parents. And I'm like, I can't do it. And, my dad was on a plane like 4 hours later to Florida. I ended up needing surgery. So then I actually flew back to Boston to have surgery in Boston. And I think I'm a lot more grateful and understanding and happy to be on a golf course and happy to be healthy.
Totally.
And I think until you're sidelined with something like that, you don't appreciate what it's like to be able to just play golf every day, do normal things, eat with your hand, everything.
You forget how much you use your hands until you can't use one of them.
So the funny story is I broke my left wrist and I fractured my right elbow. It was a nasty fall. So I had cast on the left hand and I was in a sling with my right. And so I couldn't feed myself. So I enjoyed it for a couple of weeks. I get like chicken nuggets and then toss them on the table. And then I just kind of bob my head down and pick up some chicken nuggets.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's wicked. Okay, Jake, that's all that I got for you, man. That pretty well wraps us up.
Okay.
Definitely cheering for you in all these future events. I hope that we see you on the PGA Tour full time. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, appreciate it, Brandon. Get that story on Mark. I'm curious what the club throws.
I will for sure. Is there anything else I can plug for you? What's your Instagram? Do you got a website anyone can go to?
Instagram. I'll tell you in a sec. It's kind of hard. It's JGS1138.
Was that like a Instagram generator name?
Yeah, so it's my initials. So the JGS are my initials, and then 1138 was, I believe it was my parents' first home phone or something, where it's a number that's stuck in my head forever.
Yeah.
And it's like all kind of usernames and whatnot that my family has. It has 1138 in it, so I took it and ran with it.
Like it. Now we know. Okay, everyone. That was Jake Shuman, hopefully future full-time PGA Tour player. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Brandon.
Okay, guys, that wraps us up. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Jake. I hope it gives some really good insight on how to get on the tour, what type of things or what type of scores you need to be shooting. It's really a grind. So I have so much respect for these guys that are going after their dreams and they're trying to, crack a full-time PGA Tour spot. It's not all, checks and endorsements right out of the gate. So there's a lot of grinding that goes into it. And I think that Jake gave a really good insight on what it takes to become a PGA Tour member. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for following. Make sure you subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at New9Golf. Put on post notifications. Check out our new videos coming out. What we're doing is we're actually releasing a lot of unboxing videos. So stay tuned for those unboxing videos. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Support the golf community. Play around while the season is still intact. Buy some stuff from your pro shop and do what you can to support the golf community. So thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.